How long are you going to keep waiting for life to fix itself? It's not going to happen. No one is coming to save you. The truth is this: if you don't take control, you'll stay trapped in the same mistakes, the same gray days, the same stagnant life. Wake up. Fixing your life is not a miracle, it's a decision. And today I'm going to show you how it begins. This video is not for those who look for excuses. It's for those who are ready to face their truth head on. Here you're going to discover real Stoic practices, applicable and direct. Tools that don't depend on luck or time, but on you. Practices that have saved people from inner chaos, from self-sabotage, from aimless lives. I'm going to show you how someone thinks, acts, and rises after deciding to rebuild their life from the ground up. Because fixing your life is not about waiting for the world to change, it's about becoming that change yourself. But before we begin, think about this. How long have you been postponing your life? I'm not talking about goals or future plans. I mean you. That version of yourself you dream of becoming, but keep putting off for when you have time or when everything changes. If this question stirs something inside you, subscribe and join those who decided to stop waiting and start building. And tell me in the comments, what part of you has been forgotten for too long? Or simply write, "Today I start taking back my life." Are you ready to stop complaining and start moving? Let's go. 1. Stop hiding. Look yourself in the eye. When was the last time you were truly alone with yourself? I don't mean an afternoon watching series or going for a walk to clear your head. I mean standing face to face with your thoughts, without filters, without distractions, without excuses. Seneca had a habit that today might feel uncomfortable. Every night before going to sleep, he reviewed his day with brutal honesty. "At the end of each day, I examine my conscience," he wrote. He didn't do it to punish himself or drown in guilt, but because he knew that what isn't observed gets repeated. And that's exactly the mistake many make today. They avoid looking at what hurts, thinking that ignoring it will make it disappear. But the opposite happens. What you avoid looking at grows bigger, deeper, harder to heal. Most people want to fix their lives, but they try by making external changes. A new job, a different relationship, a trip to reinvent themselves. It's like having a wound under your clothes. As long as you don't look at it, it keeps getting infected. You can put on perfume, you can change your shirt, but if you don't lift the bandage and clean it, the problem will remain. The same happens with your mind. You can move to a new city, surround yourself with new people, pretend everything is fine, but if you don't face what you carry inside, you'll keep building your life on rotten foundations. Think of someone who, after every breakup, blames the other person. They say they always have bad luck in love, that everyone is the same. They never ask themselves why they repeat the same kind of relationship, what wounds remain unhealed, or what part of themselves needs healing. And so they go from story to story, waiting for the world to change without changing themselves. That's the trap. Wanting to fix your life without touching what's truly broken. Psychologist Nathaniel Branden put it clearly: honesty with oneself is the root of self-esteem. You can't improve if you don't know what's failing. You can't love yourself if you don't know yourself. And you can't fix your life if you don't know what's breaking it from within. That's why the first step is not to act outward, but to look inward. So, my friend, if you really want to start transforming your life, stop running away from yourself. Try this. Do the Stoic examination of conscience every night. Before going to sleep, review 3 moments of the day when you didn't act as you wanted. Write them down without judging yourself, but with brutal honesty. Over time, you'll start to see patterns you hadn't noticed before. When you feel anger, envy, or sadness, don't just think, "That's how I am." Ask yourself why you reacted that way. Many times, you'll discover the emotion doesn't come from the present but from an old wound you never tended to. And dedicate one distraction-free day just to yourself. No social media, no work, no noise. Just you, a notebook, and your thoughts. What comes up may be uncomfortable, but it can also be freeing. Looking yourself in the eye may hurt, yes, but it's also the beginning of your freedom, because you can't repair what you don't even recognize. And the moment you do, you stop being a prisoner of your shadows. You begin to take control of your life with real, concrete actions, as the Stoics did. Fixing your life is not about waiting for the pain to disappear. It's about facing it, understanding it, and deciding it will no longer guide your steps. From there, from that honest look at yourself, everything you build will stand on solid foundations. And that, believe me, is the first step to changing everything. 2. No one is coming to save you. You are responsible. Admit it. You've been waiting for someone to show up and fix the mess. For your boss to give you the chance, for your partner to change, for life to send you a sign. But while you wait, the days go by and everything stays the same. And you know it well, no one is going to save you. If you don't move, nothing moves. If you don't take control, you'll stay stuck in the same place. Epictetus said, "No one is free until he is master of himself." And that phrase wasn't just a pretty reflection. It was a blunt reminder that your life won't change until you accept that no one else has to do it for you. Imagine you've hated your job for years. You complain every day about your boss, the environment, the pay. You blame the company for your stress, the economy for your salary, fate for not giving you other opportunities. But you've never updated your resume. You've never looked for a course to improve your skills. You've never sent a single application for a new job. Meanwhile, the calendar keeps moving, and you're still in the same place. It's not the world that isn't changing, it's you who keeps waiting. Fixing your life doesn't mean waiting for the pieces to fall into place on their own, but grabbing them with your own hands and arranging them yourself. That's the difference between someone who transforms their story and someone who keeps repeating the same chapter forever. Some people spend their lives blaming the past, their parents, society, bad luck. And some, one day, look in the mirror and say, "Maybe I didn't choose how this story began, but I can choose how it ends." That's what Lisa Nichols did. For years, she told herself her life was the way it was because of her tough childhood, because of poverty, because of the opportunities she never had. Until one day she changed the story. She stopped repeating, "This isn't my fault," and started saying, "I am responsible for my future." In less than a decade, she went from being broke and depressed to becoming one of the most influential speakers in the world. And it wasn't luck. It was because she stopped waiting for a rescue and decided to be her own savior. This mindset shift is powerful because it changes how you act. As long as you believe it's not up to you, you do nothing. But the moment you accept that it is up to you, you start moving. And that movement, even if small, is what sets change in motion. And you can do it too. You can start today with simple but powerful actions. Make a responsibility map. Write down 3 areas where you usually blame others: your work, your health, your relationships, and next to each one, note what you could do today to change that situation. Not what others should do, but what depends solely on you. You can also change the way you speak. Every time you start a sentence with, "It's just that," switch it to, "I could." "It's just that I don't have time" becomes, "I could organize myself better." "It's just that I don't know how" becomes, "I could learn." That simple word swap reshapes your mind and reminds you that you have more power than you think. And lastly, adopt a Stoic habit. Every morning decide on one concrete action that depends 100% on you. Even if it's small, do it. It could be sending an email, going for a walk, reading 10 pages of a book. Each small decision reinforces the truth that you are the one building your life. As long as you keep waiting for someone to rescue you, you'll remain a prisoner of circumstances. But the moment you say, "My life is my responsibility," that day you'll have taken the most important step toward fixing it. And now, I want to hear from you. In what part of your life are you going to stop waiting and start acting today? Tell me in the comments. It's a commitment to yourself and to this community, walking in the same direction. 3. Your mind can be your prison or your ally. Imagine that every morning, right when you open your eyes, someone sits next to you and starts talking non-stop. You won't handle today. You'll mess up again. Others are better than you. At first you'd try to ignore it, then you'd get tired. And if you listened long enough, you'd end up believing it. That someone wouldn't be Epictetus. Because he would tell you, it's not things that disturb us, but the opinions we have about them. What you think directly influences what you do, and what you do ends up shaping the life you build. But you probably do this yourself. You open your eyes and the first thought that crosses your mind is, today everything will go wrong. Automatically, your mind starts looking for proof that it's right. The traffic that's always there feels unbearable today. The coworker who doesn't greet you suddenly seems like he's despising you. The small mistake you make at work becomes confirmation that you're not good at this. In just a few hours, that first thought has conditioned every one of your decisions. And the worst part is, it wasn't even real. It was only an idea you chose to believe. The curious thing is that most of what you tell yourself isn't fact, but story. Stories someone repeated to you years ago. Stories you built at some point in your life and never questioned again. The Stoics knew the mind needed training as much as the body. Marcus Aurelius practiced it every morning. Before facing the world, he prepared himself mentally by repeating phrases like, "Today I will meet with ingratitude, betrayal, and ignorance, but they will not harm me." He didn't do it to convince others. He did it to remind himself that what mattered wasn't what happened outside, but how he chose to interpret it inside. If he controlled his mind, no circumstance could control him. Fixing your life often begins in this invisible territory, in changing the conversation you have with yourself. You can spend years waiting for your circumstances to change, but if your mind keeps repeating the same limiting ideas, nothing will be different. If your inner dialogue is full of excuses, fears, and doubts, every decision you make will be poisoned by them. But if you train it, if you learn to direct it, your mind can become the most powerful tool you have to transform your life. So, my friend, how can you make your mind work in your favor? Start with something as simple as observing it. Every time a negative thought appears, don't accept it as an absolute truth. Question it as if it came from someone else. For example, if you hear in your head, "You're not capable," ask yourself, "Am I really not? Or am I just afraid?" If you think, "Everything goes wrong for me," stop and analyze. Is it really everything or just a part? This small exercise of questioning your thoughts completely changes your relationship with them. You can also create what the Stoics called reminders of the soul. Choose a phrase that serves as an anchor every morning. It can be something as simple as "Nothing external controls my calm," or "I choose how to react." Repeating it isn't empty self-esteem talk. It's mental training that, over time, reshapes the way you respond to life. Your mind can be an invisible prison that keeps you from moving forward, or the springboard that propels you toward your best self. And that choice, as with everything on the Stoic path, is in your hands. Remember that fixing your life doesn't mean your problems disappear, but that your mind stops sabotaging you and starts working with you. 4. Without direction, no repair is possible. Picture a ship with its sails raised, the crew ready, the wind blowing strong, but with no port to reach. It can sail for days, even years, but it doesn't matter how far it goes if it doesn't know where it's headed. That's how many people live. They put in effort, they work hard, they're constantly busy, but they still feel like they're not getting anywhere. Seneca warned about this centuries ago with a phrase that remains brutally true. No wind is favorable to the one who does not know to which port he is sailing. And he was right. If you don't know what you want to build, any effort will scatter. You can move a lot, but you'll stay in the same place. And look, fixing your life is easier than it seems. It's about knowing what you're trying to build. If you don't have a clear north, any path will do. And that's the problem. When you don't know where you're going, you accept any job. You stay in relationships that don't fulfill you. You follow habits that don't lead you anywhere. And then you wonder why nothing changes. That's what happened to a friend of mine, Oscar. In 10 years, he changed jobs 5 times. First, he wanted to be a designer, then a chef, later a teacher, then an entrepreneur. Every time something went wrong, he said he needed to reinvent himself. And yes, he changed, but he didn't really advance. He was in constant motion but without direction. He never stopped to ask himself what he truly wanted, what made him feel alive, what purpose he wanted to guide his decisions. And because he never did, he ended up going in circles. Because walking without a map is like rowing without a compass. You can spend all your energy moving forward, but you'll end up in the same place. The Stoics knew that clarity was a form of power. Marcus Aurelius didn't wake up each morning improvising. He knew exactly what he wanted to leave behind: justice, virtue, and an empire better than the one he received. That vision gave structure to every decision, no matter how small. Even in the middle of wars, betrayals, and personal losses, his purpose kept him steady. That's the difference between living in reaction and living by choice. The writer Alex Hormozy puts it simply: lack of clarity kills more dreams than failure. And it's true, failure hurts, but it teaches. Confusion, on the other hand, leaves you trapped in nothingness. Without purpose, there's no criteria. Without direction, any obstacle knocks you off course. That's why you feel like your life isn't moving forward, because you never define where you want to go. If you feel you're in that situation, maybe you don't need to speed up, but to stop. Maybe the most important step isn't moving faster, but asking yourself where you're really trying to go. Write in a single sentence what you'd want your epitaph to say. It may sound drastic, but it defines what legacy you want to leave. Don't think about what others expect of you. Think about what you want to contribute to the world. Every morning, before you dive into routine, ask yourself, does this action bring me closer to or farther from the life I want to build? If the answer is that it takes you farther, change course. Maybe you can't turn the wheel all at once, but you can correct the path step by step and create what we could call a Stoic plan. Choose 3 virtues you want to guide your decisions: wisdom, justice, temperance, courage, the ones that make the most sense to you. Write them down and return to them whenever you doubt. They'll be your compass when the path looks uncertain. You can't fix a life without direction. You can work harder, put in more hours, give it everything you've got. But if you don't know where you're going, you'll always feel like something's missing. On the other hand, when you're clear about your purpose, even obstacles become part of the journey. And it's there, in that moment when your steps have a clear destination, where true transformation begins. Because fixing your life is not about running faster. It's about knowing with certainty where you want to go. 5. What you don't clean, you don't fix. If Seneca lived today, he probably wouldn't be paying for 5 streaming platforms he never watches, or filling his calendar with meetings that could have been a simple email. Most likely, he'd open his closet, see 20 things he doesn't need, and calmly say, "This doesn't contribute to my virtue," and he'd throw them out without a second thought. Because the Stoics knew something we often forget. External clutter is not just clutter. It's a reflection of the chaos inside. And as long as you don't put order into what surrounds you, it will be very hard to put order into your life. Trying to build a new life on a ground full of garbage is like trying to build a house in the middle of a landfill. No matter how much effort you put in, the foundation will always be unstable. It's like wanting to be an Olympic athlete while having churros for breakfast every day. No philosophy, discipline, or purpose will save you if you don't first clean up what's holding you back. You want to change your life, but you keep avoiding what sabotages it. You say you're going to improve your health, but you sleep with your phone glued to your face, and it's the first thing you touch when you open your eyes. You spend 20 minutes lying in bed scrolling through social media, then complain that you don't have time to work out. You claim you want peace of mind, but you keep answering messages from people who only bring drama. And you repeat that you want to focus on what matters, but you fill your day with tasks that don't take you anywhere. That way, no matter how hard you try, it's impossible to move forward. Epictetus put it clearly: if you want to improve, abandon the things that hold you back. And he wasn't just talking about material things. He was talking about everything that consumes your energy without giving you anything in return. Toxic thoughts, habits that sabotage your progress, relationships that drag you down instead of lifting you up. Because as long as you keep holding on to what drains you, There will be no room for what pushes you forward. And that's why many people feel they can't move ahead, because they keep trying to fit new things into a life already full of the old. Fixing your life doesn't always mean adding more. Many times it means taking away noise, taking away distractions, taking away everything that anchors you to the same place. For example, make a Stoic inventory. Sit down with pen and paper and write down everything that drains your energy. People, routines, thoughts, habits, and choose one you'll eliminate this week. Just one. Sometimes that single step frees up more space than you can imagine. And try active detachment. Once a month, remove a habit, an object, or a commitment that doesn't contribute anything to your purpose. It could be something small, like not looking at your phone in bed, or something bigger, like saying no to an obligation you accept only out of guilt. At first, you'll feel like something's missing. But over time, you'll notice that space filling up with better things. Fixing your life is not a process of accumulating, but of cleaning. And the more space you free from what doesn't serve you, the more space you'll have for what truly matters. Now I want you to put it into action. Tell me in the comments, what's the first thing you're going to remove from your life to make room for what drives you forward? Or simply write, I, Stoic. Today, I start letting go of what holds me back. 6. The world owes you nothing. Have you ever felt that life owed you more than you have? Have you thought your boss should recognize everything you do? That your friends should return the same loyalty you give them? That effort should automatically turn into reward. If you've been in any of these situations, you're not alone. All of us at some point have felt that the world owed us something. But the Stoics were clear about this. Life signs no contracts with you, and the sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll take full responsibility for yourself. They understood that expecting things from the outside is giving power to what you don't control. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations that every day comes filled with events beyond your reach. Pretending that everything adapts to your expectations is a sure recipe for frustration. No, the world doesn't work that way. And when you forget it, you start to bury yourself under the weight of disappointment. Picture this. You've spent months working hard at your job. You stay extra hours, take on tasks that aren't yours, solve problems no one asked you to solve. Every day you tell yourself, it's worth it, soon my promotion will come. You even imagine the congratulatory email from your boss, the moment of sharing it at home, the feeling that finally your efforts are being recognized. And one day, the news arrives. Yes, there's a promotion, but it's not for you. It's for someone with less time in the company, who, in your opinion, does even less than you. They announce it at the office, smiles all around. They congratulate the other person, and you feel your chest tighten. That inner voice begins to scream, it's not fair. I deserved it. They owe me. Your mind shakes, your calm disappears, and without realizing it, you turn that situation into a wound that doesn't heal. That's the problem. Thinking life works like an automatic reward system. You work hard, you expect a prize. You help, you expect gratitude. You make an effort, you expect immediate results. But reality is different. Life is like an immense ocean. You can float waiting for a boat to rescue you, cursing the horizon because nothing appears. Or you can start swimming. At first your arms ache, the waves push you back. But every stroke you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to shore. Those who wait always drift. Those who row even through pain, even with effort, one day arrive. Epictetus said it simply, do not seek for events to happen as you wish, but wish for events to happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly. Meaning that instead of wishing life would fulfill your plans, you must take responsibility for yourself. Only you can fix your life. That's the difference. Stop lamenting when things don't go your way and start taking action. Now then, how do you apply this in practice? Because I don't want it to sound like just a nice phrase. Let me give you 3 very clear ideas. First, catch your mind when it falls into they owe me. Every time you think I deserved that promotion, or they should have thanked me, pause. breathe, and write on paper what's truly under your control in that situation. Maybe you don't choose who gets promoted, but you do choose how to keep growing, how to improve, how to act with excellence even if no one applauds you. Second, break the loop with action. When the thought life isn't fair traps you, get up, walk, step outside, do push-ups, drink a glass of cold water. That movement reminds you that your body and will are under your command. It's a simple gesture, but each time you do it, you train your mind to remember that you are the one who makes the difference in your life. And always ask yourself this: would I do it the same even if I got nothing in return? If your answer is yes, then you're acting like a Stoic, because the real value isn't in what you receive, but in who you become by acting with virtue. Musonius Rufus insisted that the reward isn't outside, it's in the action itself. You don't help to get the favor returned, you help because it's the right thing to do. You don't work hard to be promoted, you work hard so your character grows stronger. Now, I want you to reflect. What would happen if you lived your life without expecting anything in return? What if you stopped feeling like a victim of what doesn't arrive, and started enjoying the simple act of moving forward, step by step, in what depends on you? For the Stoics, that was the path to freedom. They didn't expect gratitude, they didn't expect fairness, they didn't expect the universe to reward them. They just acted with virtue and let the rest flow. That made them indestructible. My friend, don't depend on what you can't control, because the world owes you nothing. The power to fix your life appears when you stop crying over what you don't receive and focus on what you can give. And that's where the true reward comes. In the moment you understand that your freedom doesn't lie in what you expect from the world, but in what you build within yourself. Now I challenge you. Think of an area of your life where you're always expecting too much from others. It could be your work, a relationship, your dreams. Write it in the comments and tell us what action you're going to take yourself without expecting anything in return. That decision, no matter how small, is your first stroke in the middle of the ocean. 7. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Yes, just as you hear it. It's not a mistake, it's reality. If nothing changes, nothing changes. If you say you want to start, then start. Let me tell you something close to home. My neighbor always talked about wanting to open a flower shop. His eyes lit up when he said it. He'd describe how he would set up the display, which flowers would arrive each season. He even imagined customers walking in and out with colorful bouquets. The idea was clear and the excitement was real, but there was one step he couldn't take. He had to complete a mandatory course to open the business, and that's when the excuses began. It's just that I don't like studying. It's just that I don't have time. It's just that the course is useless, they only ask for it because of paperwork. He complained every time he mentioned it. It looked like the barrier was the course, but the truth is the course was only a screen. What was really stopping him was fear. He was afraid to take the step, afraid to find out it wasn't that easy, afraid to risk it and not succeed, afraid of taking charge of himself. And since he never dared, he stayed paralyzed. The months went by and he kept repeating the same story. I want to open the flower shop, but the course. And of course, the flower shop never happened. Do you see it? Many times it's not the difficulty that blocks us, but the story we invent to avoid facing life. The problem wasn't a course of a few hours. It was that he kept doing what he always did. Complain, imagine, and not act. And as they say, if you keep doing the same thing, you'll keep being the same. The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. And he was right. My neighbor didn't want to look clumsy in class, didn't want to feel like a beginner. He preferred to stay in the comfort of dreaming about his business instead of facing the discomfort of starting from the bottom. But that way it's impossible to grow. How can you fix your life if you don't dare to take such a simple step? Impossible. Marcus Aurelius also knew this. For him, every day was an opportunity to act, not to stay trapped in thoughts. If something got in his way, he turned it into part of the process. If the course was mandatory, a Stoic would see it as the first rung of the ladder toward his goal. not as a wall. And here's where I want you to apply it to your life. Because surely you have your own flower shop. It could be that project you've been postponing for years. That change you keep saying you'll make when you have more time. That habit you always promise to start tomorrow. If you look closely, you'll see that the barrier you put in front of yourself isn't the real problem. It's not the course, it's not the lack of time, it's not money. It's the fear of taking charge of your life. That fear that paralyzes you before you act. Break the "I'll start tomorrow." Sound familiar? That tomorrow is your version of my neighbor's course. It's not that you can't fix what's broken in your life. It's that fear of discomfort makes you invent excuses. What can you do? Don't wait for motivation. Do something small, but do it. If you want to get in shape, get up today and put on your sneakers. Go for a 5-minute run. That action breaks the chain of excuses, and even if tiny, it makes you someone who acts. That's what my neighbor lacked. Facing fear, facing discomfort. My friend, let me tell you something. Few things bring as much pride as looking back and seeing that you had the courage to turn at that point in the maze, even when everyone told you to keep going straight. If you succeed, you'll grow. And if you fail, you still won't have failed. You'll simply have found a path that brings you closer to the life you want. So the question is clear. Are you going to keep being like my neighbor? Or are you going to dare to take the step even if your voice shakes, even if you're afraid? Do it. Change something today. Because if you keep doing the same, you'll keep being the same. And I'm sure you want more than that. Remember, results don't come all at once. The key is taking control of your life, realizing you're the captain of this ship. 8. Dreams stop being dreams when you live them. Think about that idea that's been circling in your head for months, maybe even years. Maybe opening a business, writing a book, moving to another country, or simply changing your lifestyle. You imagine it with excitement. You see it so clearly that you can almost feel what it would be like. But then comes the trembling. What if I fail? What if I make mistakes? What if I'm not enough? And that's where your dream stays, trapped in the limbo of what you never started. But let me tell you something the Stoics understood better than anyone. The difference between a dream and a full life isn't in thinking more, but in acting more. Marcus Aurelius didn't become a respected emperor because he spent nights dreaming about the perfect Rome. He did it because he got up each day ready to do what he had to do, even when fear or doubt hovered around him. He wrote it himself. Stop talking about what a good man should be one. The problem isn't that you don't know what you want. It's that you're waiting for the perfect moment. But that moment never comes. Seneca explained it bluntly. While we waste time hesitating, life is slipping away. How many opportunities have you let pass just because you were waiting to be more prepared? How many times did life open a door for you and you didn't walk through it because you were too busy imagining what could go wrong? But think about this. Dreaming about crossing a river won't get you to the other side. Not even having a perfect plan in your head gets you closer. Only moving does, even if you have doubts, even if the water is freezing, even if you slip on the first stones. Each step, no matter how clumsy it looks, builds the bridge that will carry you to the other shore. The same goes for you. You can keep dreaming about learning a language, starting that project, transforming your life. Or you can take the first step today, even if your hand shakes, because the only thing separating those who achieve from those who only dream is that the first group dares to start before they feel ready. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, none of them waited for life to be comfortable. They understood that fear is part of the path, not a signal to stop. And that's the key. When you stop waiting for certainty and throw yourself into action, your dream stops being a dream and becomes your life. Don't forget this. Dreams don't die because they're impossible. They die because we don't start them. And every day you leave them in your head, they fade a little more. But every time you act, even with fear, you're one step closer to fixing your life. So tell me, are you going to keep dreaming from the shore? Or are you going to start crossing the river? 9. Discipline is worth more than 1,000 motivations. Marcus Aurelius had a habit that many today would call extreme. And no, He didn't do anything wild like David Goggins running 100 kilometers on a broken leg. His practice was much simpler and much more powerful. Every morning, when tiredness tempted him to stay in bed, he repeated a phrase that should be written on the door of every bedroom. At dawn, when you struggle to get up, remember that you were born to act. He didn't say, when you feel like it, or when you're motivated. He said, when you struggle. Because even the most powerful man in the empire knew that progress doesn't depend on the emotion of the moment, but on the decision to do what must be done, even when you don't feel like it. And that's a lesson we all need to remember. Motivation is like the flame of a match. It lights up quickly and goes out just as quickly. If you wait for it to spark again before you move, you'll spend more time waiting than acting. Think about it. September arrives and you tell yourself this will be your new year. You plan to read more, learn a language, improve your habits. You even buy books, download apps, and make lists full of ambitious goals. The first weeks go well, until the excitement fades. The book you started with so much enthusiasm ends up abandoned at chapter 2. The English lessons that seemed so exciting start to feel like a burden, and suddenly you convince yourself that it's not for you. And no, it's not that the universe is against you. It's that without discipline, everything remains just intention. Musonius Rufus used to say that training character was no different from training the body. You can't expect to build muscles if you only lift weights when you feel like it. And in the same way, you can't expect to build a strong life if you only act when the impulse hits. Fixing your life is not about waiting for favorable winds, but about learning to row even in the storm. Because transformation doesn't happen on easy days. It happens on the days when moving is the last thing you want to do. And you do it anyway. If you want real change, stop waiting to feel ready. Discipline doesn't need inspiration. It only needs decision. Start small. Set a fixed time each day to work on your goal, even if it's just 10 minutes. If you want to write a book, write 1 paragraph a day. If you want to learn a language, study 1 lesson every morning. If you want to get in shape, go for a 15-minute walk. What matters is not the size, but the consistency. Working in blocks can help. Divide your day into sections and assign each one a clear task. For example, half an hour to learn, half an hour to move, half an hour to create. When you do this, discipline stops depending on your mood and becomes a habit. And if you also create small daily victories, tasks so simple you have no excuse not to do them, you'll see how little by little that consistency becomes identity. You stop trying to be disciplined and start seeing yourself as someone disciplined. Motivation is an impulse. It comes and goes. It pushes you a few steps and then disappears. Discipline is a path. Sometimes slow, sometimes hard, but steady. And the person who truly wants to change their life doesn't wait for the spark to appear. They light the fire with their own hands. So tell me, are you going to keep waiting to feel like it? Or are you going to start building step by step even on the days you don't want to? Because in the end, what determines your destiny isn't what you dream, but what you do. Even on the days when you don't want to do anything. Fixing your life is not about everything fitting perfectly. It's about keeping on even when nothing seems to be in place. It's about choosing the step over the excuse. About building even when fear is still there. Because real change doesn't show up all at once. You create it every day with every decision. If you've made it this far, I want you to make it clear in the comments by writing, "Today I start building my life from scratch." That tells me you're part of this community that doesn't give up. Subscribe and turn on the bell so we can walk this path of wisdom together. You've got more videos on screen waiting for you, because every step counts. Click now, and let's keep learning together.